Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and today I'm going to be reviewing Paperback Adventures. This is a roguelike deck building word game, and I'm going to be showing off the character, the damsel. Alright, so here we are with a setup of Paperback Adventures. This is a solo deck building roguelike that is based on creating words to defeat the bosses in various books. And truly, I think this game is delightful. So this is a setup for the game, and I'm just going to walk you through all the little components. We're going to talk a little bit about how it plays, and then I'll give you some final thoughts. So of course you have to start with your hero, your character. So here we have the damsel. She is very fun, and she has her own library, her little deck of cards, and some special keywords that are unique to her. She's also got some core cards and a starting item that make playing her different from playing either of the two other characters who I do not have, but actually I intend to buy them. Just spoiler alert for how much I like this game. So there's Captain Plot Hook, which I think is so funny. And there's also Ex Machina, who's like a sci-fi robot. So I went with the damsel as my starter character, but I definitely want more because I've really been enjoying this. But essentially what we've got over here is our character card. And once you know the keywords, you can flip it over to have it just be art. But I really enjoy having the play help still because I am prone to forgetting what to do. So it's good for me to have the reminders. Our health is going to start at 20. There's some things that can modify your health, but we're just going to start with the base 20. And then we have three little markers over here. We've got our boons, our energy, and our hexes. So hexes are bad things that enemies can give to us. We can give them hexes too. Boons are like these little crowns that you can use to purchase cards from the market or do other things. So for example, this bandolier lets me spend a boon in order to search my deck and discard pile for any card and then put it in my hand. And then energy allows you to pay for various things. So anything with this lightning bolt has an energy cost. And so you're going to want to have a bunch of energy in order to do special things in the game. So my base deck is just going to be these cards that are letters, and I'm going to walk you through just a quick turn in a moment so you can see how it's all going to work together. But there are also some different decks of cards up here that I can acquire from my archive for various reasons. So the library is more of my letter cards. The MacGuffins are basically special powers, and the boss MacGuffin is a super special one because it's extra powerful for the boss. But these are just little bumps to my abilities that I can pick up throughout the game. And then of course we get items. So I start with dashing boots, but there are a number of exciting other items around. A lot of these will make it into the shop. So here are cards from my library, a couple of MacGuffins, and some items that I can use in the game if I purchase them with my boons. And then over here we have an enemy setup. So in order to win the game, you have to defeat the lackey and the boss for each of 3 books of ascending difficulty. And the base box plus the character box contain different combinations of these lackeys and bosses, so you can fight somebody different every time. I chose a book 1 lackey who was the pesky suitor just because I thought that he was funny. Actually, I switched him out for somebody else. So let me change this vowel, but I'll use this as a teaching moment to talk to you about it. So the enemy setup looks a little bit like yours. There is a little plastic holder. There is a health marker. You have boons and hexes. And instead of energy, they have stages. So the pesky suitor only does one thing, but there are other enemies, including the bosses, who do multiple different things on their attack stage. And so you rotate through those with this particular marker. There's also a little card describing what your rewards will be if you win. And so you actually get to choose which side you want to do. And again, I'd had Rats in the Sewer out previously, so I'm going to grab the pesky suitor to put in here. All right, so now everything is fixed according to my preferences. I've got the correct vowel out. The pesky suitor has a vowel card weakness, which we'll talk about in just a moment. And I've got his rewards card out. So honestly, I had set this up randomly to play with whatever lackey came up. And then I just realized I thought the pesky suitor was funny. And so now you're stuck with him, just like me. So again, we have our lovely little enemy setup. There's actually 2 stages to this enemy. So he's stage 1, and then when we beat him, we'll go to stage 2. So I'm planning to do a separate video where I do like a full battle with him, so you can see how that goes. And then with every enemy setup, you get the vowel that is that enemy's weakness. So it's going to change from battle to battle. In this case, the pesky suitor is vulnerable to the letter I, as in, I don't want this relationship, even if you do. And then we have a wild card, and this can be basically used in any hand. It doesn't ever get discarded or anything like that. But if you don't use it, you gain an energy at the end of your turn. And if you do use it, you don't. But it goes right back here. It doesn't go into your deck or anything like that. The vowel also kind of repeatedly becomes available to you from hand to hand, unless you start a word with the vowel, in which case it does get exhausted. So now that we've gone over some of the basic stuff, why don't I walk through one little turn so you can see exactly how this game plays. So the first phase in a turn is the prep phase. So we're going to draw 4 cards. That is our hand. And then we're just going to see what we have. All right, so we've got T, D, I, and N. All right, so I know that I don't need to use either of these letters because dint is a word. So let's just put that in here. So like if you do something by dint of something else, that's how you spell this one. So I have a couple of options here. I could try to do something with these letters, but I don't really feel a need to right now because they're not going to gain me anything. So I have 2 options for this word, even though I've already spelled the word out, and those have to do with splay. So these are all blocks, which I might want. Or I can splay. So this is splayed to the left. Like I can see the left side of the cards. However, I also have the option to splay right. And that's going to give me 4 damage and 2 energy versus a bunch of blocks and 1 energy. There's also sneak attack, gain 5. So actually, this might have played out really well for me because sneak attack over here says if there are no cards in your discard pile, gain the listed bonus. There are currently no cards in my discard pile because I just started. I haven't discarded anything yet. And so if you look at the pesky suitor, I have to think about how I want to approach him. I deal 5 damage, he says, and I heal up to 5 HP. In other words, he's only got 5 HP right now, but you essentially need to one-shot him in order to get him out of the way because he's going to keep healing up to his max health every turn. So actually, I was thinking about just blocking because I didn't know, like, this is not enough attack to get him. But since I'm starting with this gain 5 for a sneak attack, there's nothing in my discard pile. I think I'm going to do it this way. I'm just going to take out his first side. So that would be, we're going to put this down. Our planning is done. So once we've done the planning, and also if I had energy, which I don't yet, I could have used my items if I'd wanted to, or any of that. Like that's all also done during planning. But now we're in the text phase. And so that means I'm going to perform the action for my top card first. So I'm going to gain 5 attack. Then I'm going to count up the hits that I have. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for a total of 9 hits. And I'm going to apply them to the pesky suitor. So basically, I've just given him a huge slap in the face. Ha 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 ha. If he had any block, then I would subtract that from my hits this turn, but he doesn't. He didn't think to block me. He thought that I was going to have to block him. Ha ha. Okay, so I have 9 total hits because my discard pile is empty. Yes. So I'm going to take him out for 5. So he's just donezo. However, that's not entirely true. He's going to flip, and now he is stunned. So he's not going to do anything this current turn, but he now has 2 stages. So his first stage is that he deals 5 damage, and I'm going to lose some energy because he's just such an energy suck. Ugh, with his wounded retort. And he also does incessant preening. He heals up to 5 HP. So this turn he's going to do nothing, and then he'll start to rotate between these 2 if I fail to defeat him quickly enough. But let's finish my clash stage. So he is dealt with for now. I'm now going to gain 2 energy on these cards. Based on that moment, I think you can guess what my little complaints about this game is going to be. So we're going to get 2 energy. And then I would perform the enemy action for this turn, but I'm not going to because he's stunned. So next turn, he'll do something, but this turn, he's not going to. So I don't have to deal with any damage or any of that. I have another turn to kind of regroup. So that's the clash phase. I did everything. He did everything except that I stunned him, so he didn't get to do anything. And then I'm going to do cleanup. So that means that the top card here is going to go to fatigue, and I don't get to use it for the remainder of this battle. So you have to be careful what you start words with because then they disappear on you. These are going to go to discard. And I'm going to draw 4 more cards. I was really hoping for a T to use with that eye. I'm not going to lie to you. And then I would advance this tracker, but I'm actually not going to because, again, he is stunned. So you just have to make sure that you advance what your enemy is going to do back to you on their turn. And then basically, we're just going to keep doing this back and forth until one of us is victorious. And you know it's going to be me because there will be distress, and I, the damsel, will cause it. Then, after each battle, you get to take the rewards on one side of that enemy's card, so you have to think about what you actually want, and then you can spend your boons to buy items from the shop and upgrade your deck that way. The other thing that's very cool about this game is that it comes with these sleeves, and the reason for that is that sometimes your reward is to upgrade a card. So right now, this H has these symbols on the sides, and critical hit give 2 hexes to the bad guy. But if I flip it, it's actually a better card. It says upgraded at the bottom. So I give 3 hexes instead. So you can actually upgrade your cards and then re-sleeve them so that the correct side is face up. And that is how you play Paperback Adventures. Hopefully this gives you just a little taste of how the game works and gives you a sense of how fun it can be. But let's go to final thoughts so I can talk a little more about that. All right, so now for some final thoughts. I'm actually going to start with my quibbles about this game because they're small and they're very much to do with the physical components and packaging of the game. And then I'm just going to rave about it for a while because actually I really, really like this one. And if you like word games, if you like deck builders, this is a fantastic choice, truly. So what's wrong with it? I'm just going to start there. One, if you're the sort of person who does not like to have to purchase multiple boxes in order to play the game, then this one's going to make you crazy. So it has a core box, and then you have to purchase characters to play along with it. So you're going to end up at least 2 game boxes deep just to start playing the game, and then you're going to add a couple more. So I'm okay with this. I mean, I like Final Girl as well, right? But if you don't like that kind of setup, then you're not going to be pleased with this. And then my other major quibbles about this game are, again, very much physical. One, you might have noticed in the review where I was doing the overview, the little slots where your trackers go for your HP, for your boons, for your hexes, that plastic is really, really tight. It's very difficult to shove the little metal pieces in and then pop them out without making a huge mess. And that annoyed me. I wish that they had been constructed well enough to just kind of drop it in and have it able to skim along the surface. As it is now, if you want it to actually be stable in there, you have to squeeze it in, and then popping it out can create a chain effect where other things pop out of the same row. So in the end, it's a fairly minor annoyance, but it did annoy me. And the other thing that I'm particularly concerned about actually is that there were sleeves provided with the game. So the double-sided letter cards are in sleeves. Those sleeves came in the game box, which is great. Really happy to see sleeves in the game box, especially because you do need them for full play. However, what I did not like is that there's exactly enough sleeves for the box. There are no extras. I had a couple extra clear ones, but there are some like little special envelopes you get to open in the box, and I'm pretty sure the cards from there will go into those envelopes. So you've got all these sleeves provided to you, but what happens when one of them splits? You're going to be taking cards out and flipping them around all the time if you play this game a lot. Like, I'm already getting anxious, like, as I upgrade my cards. What if I mess up the sleeve? I don't have a replacement. So, like, even a few extra sleeves would have been nice. But, in the long run for a game, those are fairly minor concerns. However, I did want to voice them. There are also some moments where the rules are a little bit ambiguous. So in order to successfully use the damsel's venom vial for the first time, I had to look up online how it was done because I didn't think the text in the card was clear enough. So fortunately, the explanation was there and it was on the official Virus Games website. So it got taken care of, but I don't like it when that happens. And mostly the rules are pretty good and pretty clear, but they're just little powers that are hard to use, little things that don't quite make sense. And I also thought, actually, that some of the ways that things are ordered in your turn require you to remember a little bit too much that you can drop in the process of playing. So those are the issues that I had. That said, I think this game is absolutely fantastic. If you like word games and if you like deck builders, this game is awesome. I had a great time with it. I'm going to get the other 2 characters. Like, I just absolutely love this. It's like a wonderful way to spend your evening solo. This is clearly a game about books by people who love books and who love plot devices and who get a real kick out of it. And so all the little enemies are fun. The powers they have and what they're called are super fun. I included the suitor because I thought it was just so funny. And it really just gave off Jane Austen's funniest moment vibes. It made me really happy. I love the way that leveling up is done in this game, so I like that it's called character development. That's really cute. But the reversible cards, the fact that each card does something a little bit different in its card text, the ability to bring in certain items or MacGuffins, all of this came together in a really interesting way because trying to figure out the best strategy to deal with these different enemies can actually be really challenging in the later stages. And I really loved trying to come up with builds or to choose items that were really going to help me get there in the end. And even just the strategy of playing your hand really delighted me. I love that you get to play the power that's on the first letter, like the top letter of your word. So is it the first letter or the last letter? It depends on how you split your cards. So I loved the top letter having a power. And I also loved the top letter becoming fatigued because you have to really think through, okay, do I really want to start my word with this letter? Is there any other alternative? What happens when this card's not on my deck? How can I efficiently fight this enemy so I don't run out of cards and have too much fatigue? And so all that really came together in ways that I thought were fantastic. And then on top of that, I was really happy with the enemy vowel card and with the wild card. So, as you might guess, sometimes you're going to get a hand that's all consonants or just something you really can't make a word of. And I love the presence of the enemy vowel and of the wild card to help you get out of that. So you never feel like your hand completely screwed you over. Instead, you have to work with what you have. But there are ways to do that more and more intelligently, especially as you get to manipulate your deck a little bit and as the game goes by. It is absolutely going to be worth my money to go buy those other two characters. But this game really got me excited. I love it. It's staying in my collection. I think it's great. I'm going to recommend it to anybody who wants to play solo. And just really well done. What a lovely game. Yeah, the components could have been a little bit better. But if that's your biggest complaint, then the game was darn good. So I will definitely be playing this one in the future. I absolutely adore it. And I hope that you will too. So that is the story of Paperback Adventures. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment, give to my Patreon if you're feeling generous. Your support will go towards me getting to no longer teach summer school, which would be pretty amazing. And most of all, happy gaming, everybody.